We should have Aina Jungle Muslim right now. Aina Jungle.
How about you put the roll? It's like tune and you cut it off.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mad Mamluks podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts, Sheikh Amir, Mort, and our guest, Isa Martell. Any relation to Ober and Martell, Isa?
You're not related to Martell,
I do like to make pretend I'm related to him.
The snake. What was his name?
Yeah.
The serpent.
From Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I don't watch that show. I just heard about.
They have the whole
related to it.
Martell family.
Shh. We don't talk about that show. And we never admit to ever have watching that show.
I
Certain
never
people
watched
get
it.
very
I
upset.
just heard about it.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Isa, Brother Isa, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us in studio. You have traveled a great journey to meet us.
Yes. Camel by camel.
We've fought great wars and battles.
Yes.
And slain many
Many infidel.
many infidel, yeah. I was going to say monsters, but he said infidel. FBI, not me. All right. Sheikh, welcome to the show. It's been a long time.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. I had to show my sword too.
Yeah,
These are called the gauntlets.
He's got the gauntlets that look like Michigan, actually. If you like put up against the map,
it's like the fist, yeah.
looks like the Michigan map, you know.
These are not These are not sharp, ladies and gentlemen. Do not worry. I will not hurt
I
myself.
was hoping they were sharp so we could see a live beheading,
Yeah.
an accidental
Jim
beheading.
just got into the zone.
Yeah. Well, you know, the one too, I thought about the sharp, but there is like the hadith about the sharp sword.
Yeah, you
to,
could
like
not put
pointing
it at
because
your...
the jinn could like,
Yeah,
so.
Yeah,
it's true.
yeah, Shabab. So let's get serious. I don't know how serious we could get with this. It's too awesome, Brother Isa.
Yeah.
How did you get into this, man? Tell us a little bit about yourself. What got you into historical weapons collecting?
He's
a little
so
bit
in
about your
character.
journey.
He's so in character right now. He
Yeah.
doesn't talk like this normally.
Well, Sultan, I
Carry on. You have my permission.
yeah. So my name's Isa, and I had kind of been into armor and stuff prior to me becoming Muslim. So I converted to Islam around 1997 or 96, and prior to that, I was into like playing Dungeons and Dragons and this type of thing.
Yeah, like the kids in Stranger Things.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, that was, you know, my generation. In the
I always
80s.
wanted to get into it, but I didn't have any friends.
Well, yeah, you don't. Well, you can.
You want to be my friend?
Yeah, we could online.
We'll form our own little. What's that thing called? The group.
The group, yeah.
What's that thing called?
I don't know. A guild?
Mage
maybe?
guild. Yeah, guild.
Yeah, we
He's
can
just
make
doing
it.
this because he wants your armor, bro. That's
Yeah, I
it.
know.
Don't
I
give
know.
in. But anyways, yes.
Yeah.
Sheikh Amr would never place with me on anything. He says everything is black magic.
Yeah.
Something. He borrows this guy's armor. He becomes a whole different person. Anyways,
It
go
looks
ahead,
good.
bro.
I'll do that.
How'd you get started on all
Yeah,
this?
so when I was in high school, I was into it. And
That's your headphone next to the speak.
Oh,
Yeah.
subhanallah.
when I was in high school, I was into this through that. And then I got into, there was this group called, it's called the SCA for short. It's called Society for Creative Anachronism. And it's kind of like LARP a little bit, but they use wooden weapons, and it's not as hokey as LARP is. You're actually fighting each other, but you have armor and wooden weapons on.
Yeah.
And I did that for a while. And as I started that, I wasn't Muslim, but once I became Muslim, my focus turned to like this type of weapons and Islamic culture and this type of thing. So I started trying to research and find out about this stuff. And unfortunately, at the time, like in like the late 90s and the early 2000s, there was nothing translated into English anyway. There's manuscripts and stuff that are overseas and in the Muslim countries and everything, but nothing was translated into English. So it was basically a lot of people using these types of weapons the way Europeans use them, because during the time, like that time of like 20 years ago, there was in resurgence, I guess, or when they were starting to get into historical European stuff, you know, and at the time it was called Western martial arts or historical Western martial arts, but it was they were taking like 15th century manuscripts and translating them and then trying to redo the swordsmanship from them. But this was all European based, and this now is called now 20 years later, that thing is called HEMA, which is historical European martial arts. So that is
they didn't know how to fight, right? I mean,
no, they didn't. So
they're terrible fighters. We learned that from Arthur, didn't we, Shabab? They don't know how to fight.
but they were learning. I mean, yeah. So they learned. They translated these manuals into this. But at the time, I was still like, these weapons are different looking. They must be used in a certain way that's not like that. And the culture is different. The armor is different. Everything like that is different. So I started just kind of self-experimenting with maybe this is how you do this, or trying techniques and stuff. And I had bought a previous set of armor that was Safavid armor. And and when I
suffer with Shivis,
What? Yeah.
Bro,
who invited them?
Wait. So hold up. So hold on one second. So the stuff with the army. Like, first of all, how much is this stuff like? I mean, how do you even get this stuff mailed to you? Like, what do you do?
okay.
Like,
So if we're starting with the armor, so that the armor is made in the Ukraine. So all this armor was made by a guy named Sergei Gorbatko, who lives in Ukraine right now.
Wow.
And so it was all designed for me. It's all made by hand. You know, everything is hand forged and all. It's all hardened steel. So if you watch Forged in Fire, you can get
I've seen that.
how they have to harden it by
Yeah.
like dipping it in
And
oil.
they usually
stuff.
like mess it up.
Yeah.
So many times.
Yeah.
It's a show about you have to make your own weapons within a given time frame. I think it's a week or something.
and
Yeah,
then test
yeah.
it out
And then
against.
they test
They're-
it
they
out.
they're-
grade you on how
if your
yeah.
weapon breaks or
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
how it survives.
They'll use like deer carcasses and like cut them
Yeah.
up.
Pig carcass,
Yeah. It's
So it's pretty
cool.
good, yeah. But so that's the armor. Who made all this armor here, and the swords too? He made.
Wow.
Did he compete on that show?
No, he does. Well, he's in the Ukraine, so
Oh.
yeah, they're under
Oh,
war.
he's not getting
and
bombed
everything,
now.
Yeah.
Allah yarhamah.
But
No, he's not Muslim and he's not dead.
no.
I'm sorry, take it back.
I knew it.
And you know how much for a female?
How do you undo it?
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
How do you undo it?
You say Allah
You
Yahdihu.
take a helmet off. That's how you undo it.
Allah yadihu.
Yahdihu. I didn't call. Sorry.
I'm so sorry, Ethan. Go ahead.
No,
bro.
that's all right. So he made it, and so that when I became interested, so I had this other armor, and it's called the Prince of the East armor. It's from this company called I forgot the name of the company, but it's a famous armor making company. But it was more like it was stainless steel, and it's so more like costume-y. Like you can use it to lightly spar, but this is hardened steel. This is like 100% accurate what they wore back then. Stainless steel wasn't invented yet, you know, so
I see.
that's like a
So
modern
it'd probably be
steel.
duller a little bit, and it'd probably be more like.
It weighed more, right? Because it's not as so. This is hardened steel. It's hardened spring steel, which you can make thinner
and withstand harder,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's galvanized in some way, right?
Correct. yeah.
Right.
And so my other armor, and it was also etched, but it was acid etched. So acid etching wasn't something that was done back then. They actually like chiseled like with like little, you know, things, and then that's how they put the design in the armor. Where acid etching is you like cover the armor with like some sort of paint, and the part that you don't cover will get burned by the acid, so that'll be the design
I see.
that goes onto it.
Oh, okay.
But that's not, as I was getting into it more, I was becoming more historically, like I wanted it to be correct, you know. So I had that armor, and I was looking online, and I saw another guy who had that same type of armor. Like it was like 15th century Safavid armor, but it was like this, you know, it wasn't, it was like legit blackened armor and everything. And so I had questions about armor and stuff, and I started talking with him, and his name is Manusher Khorsani, and he had just published at the time a book called Swordsmanship, Historical Archery and Swordsmanship of Persia, where he had studied for like 20 years these documents, like manuscripts that were in Persian, and translated them and deconstructed all the moves and everything into a fighting system, you know. And so when we were talking, eventually, like through our conversations, he was like, just, do you want to become my student, and I'll teach you how to do all this stuff.
And sorry, how many years ago was this?
This was like a 2013, around there.
Okay.
So once that happened, I then began selling pieces of my other armor off, and then I got this style of armor, which is it's Ottoman, like the what you see him wearing there.
This one?
Yeah. So that's called a krug, which is identified as Ottoman.
Why is it brown like this?
So
To disperse the arrows, right?
no,
throw
so
pizza in here.
you can.
Food in my belly.
Just sneak in there.
By the way, you didn't know what you got yourself into.
I know, I see.
Grown men with armor, and we feel like we're in a toy store.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
maybe I can store food in here
I
for
know.
later.
So what's
But
the round shape?
how the armor developed is that everyone had chainmail on, basically. And then so it started, they put like little discs over, like a disc with just like leather straps. Like it started small. You can see like Mongol, like if you see it early, like Asiatic area, like Mongols, they kind of started with it like that.
The round stuff?
Yeah, it was like a disc like about this big.
Okay.
And
I mean,
it just
does
kind of
it, does it
protected.
help? I heard that like arrows, it helps arrows bounce off easier.
I mean, it does, like, but that's more like the curvature of how the curvature is. I think ultimately, I think it's just design aesthetic.
Or they
you know?
like pizza a lot.
Yeah,
No,
no,
'cause
maybe.
I
When they were killing
like,
those Italians.
Yeah, I thought
Sicily.
like maybe like just the way that it was how the center area and kind of can disperse like impact across.
Yeah, and I think that is valid, and also because there's mail, like it acts like a cushion too.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how this how I think anyway that it kind of developed. So this is, like I said, this was Ottoman based, and I went with Ottoman because I already had a Safavid armor kit. So I was like, all right, let me switch to like another, so I don't have like the same thing. And I went with that, and so yeah, that's how I got into.
What about the helmet? Can you talk about the helmet a little bit?
Yeah, so that is also.
Why is it pointy like this on top?
You can headbutt people.
Yeah, I
You
don't
do
know.
like
I
the
think
juggernaut battering ram thing? You know,
I
juggernaut?
guess you could. So this would be like a light helmet, I guess. Like I kind of take it like archers and kind of lightly armored people would wear a helmet like that.
It's not actually heavy. Someone in the chat's asking about whether the helmet is heavy. It
Well, we
actually
do.
is really comfortable.
Well, this is
I'm just so surprised how comfortable it is.
yeah, this is a lightweight one, like
Yeah.
maybe some infantry would wear.
Yeah.
But so we have another one that we
Yeah,
can
this
probably
one
show.
here.
Oh boy,
Can
this
you-
is the one Sheikh Ahmed's going to be wearing.
Yeah, this is it's like a 50-pound helmet, right?
Sheikh, show the...
I don't know
Show
how heavy it is, but
No,
it
yeah,
is
it's like 15
heavier.
it's like 15
15 pounds probably. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So can you turn it this way so you can show your camera? Yeah. Oh, like hitting Ahmed's brain.
So that helmet is.
Can you try to put that on your head?
Yeah, if you do take off the strap, like see the strap hanging there, just unbuckle it and pull the whole thing out. It just loops out. And when you put it on, there's like the 2 D rings, just like kind of fiddle.
what do you
Just
pull?
slide it out. Just slide the whole.
Okay.
And you use all of these in your...
This
like-
thing, you mean?
Yeah, the strap.
Sport.
Just pull the strap all the way out. It'll.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, this strap.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
And you fight with the stuff on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So if you, so the The martial art that I do is called Razmafzar, and you can like Google it on YouTube
Yeah.
or whatever. And
RazmafzarTV.
Razmafzar.
RazmafzarTV.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Racial
there
blue.
you go. Look at that. Can you see out of it?
There
Yeah, I
he
can
is.
see out of it.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me hold the gauntlets too, bro. Let's show the people, bro.
So the helmet
hear you.
there, that helmet is based. So I wanted my armor to look like from the tribal region that was between Persia and Turkey. You
Yeah.
know, like that mesh area.
So Turkic people.
Yeah, you know.
Right.
And well, that piece is clearly like what you would call an Ottoman krug. The rest of it is more mixed style of armor. Like, so the scales on the back of the helmet, normally, like if you see pictures of Ottoman infantry, they have a lobster tail on the back, it's called, and it's like 3 plates that look like a lobster tail helmet. And sometimes they have, instead of the mail in
It
front
would look
of...
like this.
yeah,
The tail, right? We look at the gloves.
exactly, yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Now I have a question. Now,
Yeah.
is it because my nose is big, or is it my nose is touching the metal over here? Is that normal?
Push it down like in the back of your head, but your head could be bigger than my head.
Oh yeah, it definitely.
He's got a
is.
huge
Oh, there we
nose
go.
anyway.
Yeah. So once your head locks in it,
Yeah.
you shouldn't.
Oh, that feels nice.
You shouldn't be.
It's
and
heavy,
your-
but it feels nice.
yeah, your eyes should be like right, kind of up toward the
Yeah,
top of
I
it.
got
I'm
it.
just glad we can't see your face anymore.
Yeah, me too. Actually.
Well, what kind of infantryman is actually wearing this? Is it like
is
a,
like a
knight,
knight,
full
right?
knight?
Yeah, this would be like a full full mounted warrior would be wearing this.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's going to be wearing it on horseback?
Wait,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
second. I have a thing.
Wow.
Can this thing actually absorb impact?
Yeah, look at those dents in it. That's
hold on
from
one
me
second.
getting hit.
Let's
You
focus.
can hit him
Hey,
with that.
oh,
Yeah,
it's a little ringy. It's a little ringy though. What do you do to avoid the ringiness?
Just close your
Yeah,
ears.
you know.
Stop it! I didn't expect that. That was kind of loud. God, man.
Hey, Mort, hit me.
No,
Okay,
that's
that's
just
right,
be
yeah,
careful.
yeah.
You can get hit with that, but I'm
You'll
not.
feel the impact.
You
You
don't
better
use,
sign like
Yeah,
I'm
the
not
wave
liable
yeah.
for any injury.
We'll just give you a
So-
little tap. Okay.
let's say,
Yeah, you can do light, like you can
Do the flat.
lightly.
Do the flat slap. Do the flat slap. The flat sword slap. Do the.
Oh no, I can't do that. That's just a little too. I don't want to get that. That seems more like if they repel little arrows or something.
Yeah, that helmet is really just light, you know. And,
Yeah.
and I don't use that. I just got it for mainly display or to wear like this, you know.
So-
when I fight, it's in this.
So that's pretty much a mosquito net.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the oily smell in here, like the metal oily smell.
Yeah,
I like
you
that.
have to keep
love
that
it,
or it'll
yeah.
rust.
Why is that?
The mail, because the mail will rust the chain, the
Oh.
mail. You know. So if
Oh.
you look at that mail, it's each one is riveted, each little one. So you have to hand put a little
is
rivet
this
in each
exactly
one.
how it would have been
Yeah,
done?
it's completely
Holy cow.
100% period.
So the oil actually also makes it flexible as well too, so that the rust doesn't like.
yeah, technically, like the rust would naturally come off it as it's moving. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you don't really ever have to re-oil it a whole lot because as you're using
Depending
it,
on
the
how
rust,
much you use
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So the less you use it, the more you have to oil it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's warm.
So,
man.
how can one procure one of these?
Yeah, like if I wanted to buy
I
a
want one of
helmet
these.
like this, how much would I have to pay for something like this?
A helmet like that is probably like around $500.
That's not too bad.
What
I'm
about
thinking
this one?
like
No, that one, I don't remember how much it was, but it was less. But it depends like what you're involved in it. So I had everything custom made.
Or what if this is our permanent
wait.
uniform when we're doing podcasts, man?
no, I'm not. No, but
Man, it
listen.
would be awesome.
So wait, so approximately a whole outfit would probably cost like what, $2,500,
Yeah,
$3,000.
about that. Yeah.
That's not bad.
No. It's
And
not,
this will
no.
probably last a lifetime, right?
Well, it's armor, so armor is designed to break and get damaged, you know, depending how much you use it and how much you fight in, you know. So
Yeah. No, I mean generally speaking, like if you want, like actually, if you want to just put it up, set up.
oh,
in the
it'll
house,
last forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you think it would be halal to wear this for Halloween, ya Sheikh? No, because it's Islamic armor, Sheikh.
But Halloween haram.
No, but it's Islamic armor, so it nullifies whatever haram that's happening on that
Bro,
day.
you
that's
bringing
a
this
nice
stuff
one.
made him into something else, bro.
So how about this? Why don't
You
you,
can
wear?
fight the
Wait.
demons.
So why don't you wear one of these in the club then? I mean, you know, just make the halal, right?
No, this is specifically costume related one.
Get out of
Yeah.
here.
People of your mind will never understand the intricacies.
I'm sorry,
behind the
Sultan.
Sharia.
I'm sorry,
Sheikh?
Sultan.
Ashari, please help us out.
Stop.
So yeah, so that sword that you got there is called a kame, which really you
Let's
would
show the sword. Hang on.
yeah, that one there. So that's called a kame, and that is actually
Kame.
you wouldn't use that in armor. That is like what they carried outside, like a civilian weapon.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, so that's
like a quick defense.
yeah,
Or like
because your
yeah.
armor is locked up in the armory.
Yeah.
You know, even those swords like the shamshir, like in Persian, that's called the shamshir.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, let's show it.
And just so to talk about it, some like so the word.
Lord, I wanna hold
We have a
your
problem
sword.
that this stuff was classified by
You can hold mine.
Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll say a shamshir is like any curved sword, but really shamshir is a sword. So
Any
like a
sword.
straight
Yeah,
sword
yeah,
is
yeah.
called a shamshir. Like a safe to an Arabic, it would be called a safe. And that's like a straight sword.
So how long is this? What is like?
Probably 80. Is it centimeters long? Maybe the blade length. Yeah.
So let's talk about this for a second. So a lot of things. One of the unique things about the Arab or Middle East or Muslim weaponry is that it was like a scimitar. It was curved.
Yeah.
So maybe you can kind of give the significance of that, and then your experience like using compared to the other one.
That's a good question. Yeah. Well, ultimately, a curved sword is the pinnacle of sword design because if you look at the end of swords being used, even the British used them, you know? And so even Marines now, when you get your officer sword, it's a saber, you know?
Yeah.
So with the this is kind of how I view it. And from the research that my teacher has done, we come about that the basis of Iranian, Middle Eastern, Turkish, Southern Russian, what is there like they're known for, like a sport that they're known for is like,
Wrestling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So to wrestle, you have to be close, right? So the curved sword closes the distance that you have to be to strike someone, but also allows you to grab them and to wrestle and grab.
See, I never thought.
You
about
know what
that.
I mean?
So it's kind of like a motion where you can grab and just
Yes.
turn.
So yeah.
Oh, got it.
And the shields.
Oh yeah, let's look at the shield. So wait, give me a shield. I want to see how heavy this thing is. Because I was thought, oh my gosh, these guys just so
It's a small one.
Yeah. So the shield is called a sapar, and
apart. Okay. So technically, you put your arm through it.
both of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So-
wait, would you put it through it all the way, like in your forearm, like on your wrist? Or
No, grab them like so
I got
they
it,
both
yeah.
go like that. Yeah. So now this is different than European a buckler because a buckler has a single like bar.
Yeah.
But you see the way that has the straps. You can grab someone because it has the straps, so you can be holding your hand open, right? And you can like physically like grab his arm.
Like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
You know, and then you can grab like you
So there's extra surface area to hook onto, so you can leave your hand open.
exactly. And if I have it feels big, but it's strapped for the gauntlet to fit into it.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
cool.
So that's why
So
it
it'd be a
feels
little bit
loose
more
on your hand.
tighter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it wouldn't be as loose. So,
Yeah.
So the tighter it is, basically it's kind of secured into place.
Yes, exactly.
And you can use your fingers if you needed to.
Yep, and you
And
can you
it's
grab.
multi-purpose. You could have cereal in that. Oh my bowl of cereal.
They didn't have cereal in the Ottoman
Sorry,
time.
bro.
They probably have some like
So-
oats or something, maybe.
Are you having like a
Maybe
heat
like
stroke right
you're
now?
thinking like Europeans had cereal. Maybe there were no cereal.
I think he's having a heat stroke. He's
Yeah,
just making
maybe,
retarded
yeah.
comments. Yeah.
You
Anyway,
just put that air conditioner in. It's not on.
Can you imagine eating like a big bowl of Fruit Loops?
no, I couldn't.
What are you thinking? Where's your brain?
Yeah, I think this is with this armor on, I'm actually going to kill somebody. He think like
Yeah.
eating food. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm thinking, like, I can imagine bashing someone's face.
Yeah,
with
so
this
you
thing.
can. There's techniques that are like that. You bash them, and a lot of times, so when you're fighting, to get back to the sword, you use the sword and the shield together.
So
and
would it traditionally be kept closer to you?
no, you
Oh, you'd
you
be
have
out,
to
extended?
actively use it. Yeah,
So would
like
you,
as a weapon.
Would you kind of be turned like this, like so your side?
When you stand, no,
Yeah.
you stand square shouldered.
okay,
like
Okay.
you're like karate or something like that, yeah.
So
and
kinda
you
like-
would manipulate the shield as like a secondary weapon. So if the smaller your shield is, the more active you have to be with using your shield.
To cover more space.
Exactly, and you have to be punch blocking and defending. Where with the larger shields, those generally were, okay, look, we got to go to war in 6 months, and we called all the peasants up, and you only got so much to train them.
Right.
Give them these big shields, and they'll be
So,
good.
what I
The more
imagine-
skill you have, the smaller the shield.
So what I would
you know.
imagine would be like the regular, like the cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Where
Get
would have
the big shield.
and just
Exactly.
kind of inch forward.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the knight would have it and kind of just
Exactly.
maneuver around.
Yeah.
And
Because they're like the hero fight, like you're the...
for more
epic.
agility, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
And you can do more technique because, like I said, the basis is like wrestling, you know? So when you put this into mind, and this was something that with Razmafzar and Dr. Khorsani, who translate, I got his book here. Hold on, I'll show you.
Sure.
It's massive.
So Dr. Khorsani is from Khorasan, like
You
Afghanistan.
can check it out. He lives in Germany now, but his family is from Iran.
Where do you live now?
Germany.
Germany,
in
okay.
Frankfurt. Yeah.
How do you pronounce his name?
Khorsani.
No, the whole
Khorsani.
name. The whole name.
Manusher.
Mushtaq.
Yeah.
Manusher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's Manusher.
Yeah.
Manusher.
Manusher.
Manusher Mushtaq Khorasani.
Correct. Yes. So if you look in there, you can see like a big chunk of it is broken down into wrestling. The beginning of it's archery, then there goes to lance, sword, axe, mace.
So what he
Wrestling.
did was
Oh, there's wrestling in there too.
Yeah.
he translated old manuscripts or manuscripts that were in Persian,
Yeah.
and then he put it into like a format in how you could want to
Correct.
train.
This is how to do it.
This
Yeah.
is how you would start.
That's really cool.
And what made it so there's a big difference here. When the Europeans did it, it was just like these sword nerd guys, you know, that were interested. So they weren't physically fit, but because of him, he grew up wrestling. And he's also like a black belt in Kyokushin and 3 other black belts. So he came at it from a martial art perspective.
That's pretty cool.
You know, so now that's a big difference. You know, that gives you the understanding of how to fight. You know, so he already had the basis of how to fight. So it's now like
Put armor on and do
exactly.
So
yeah,
this is cool because there's a section on maces in there, and that's really
Yeah.
cool because I have a
There's a mace in the bottom.
Oh really? I
Reach
have
in there and grab the mace out.
Oh, that's. Dope.
I have like a 15-pound mace. So I use the crane. I just kind of move it around, and
It's in
so.
there somewhere. I put it in.
But I'm talking about the club, not
There's picture. Yeah, the Iranian
so,
like.
so I have they're great for
They're
training.
good. Yeah.
So you kind of build your shoulder.
Yeah.
And the whole movement behind those things was to build
get the-
shoulder muscles
yep.
and back muscles and moving it back and forth. So they would train like that and go back and
Yep.
forth like this. Yeah.
And they had the other, I forget what it's called, but it's like a bar and it got the chain and that they like would move around.
Yeah.
So that was like the bow.
And it would shake
that
it
gets
kind
you
of.
to get,
It'll
get
go-
your arm
yeah.
strength for like using a
So
bow.
what they do
and
is
stuff.
imagine like a huge tambourine with armor on it, and they would just go they'd shake it
Yeah.
because it's kind of like building your shoulder muscles, and like as it moves, you have to stabilize it,
Yeah.
right? So they would just it would move around like this. So build your core and
Yeah.
your shoulders.
Yeah.
They actually started doing that exercise recently.
Oh really?
Where they had their barbell and they put like the metal chains around it, and then it bounces.
No. But this is entirely different. So imagine like a tambourine.
I think there's
weighted-
probably a picture of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So
here.
imagine like weighted tambourines, right? And so it would just be like really heavy weight, but as you shake it, that it kind of like rocks, right? So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to stabilize it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But you would go, it's literally like this.
Wow.
And so naturally your shoulders are working.
It's all functional training.
and your core, right. And then your stability, right? Your balancing. So it's crazy.
Yeah, here's some. Here it is. Here, just
And actually, ironically enough, I kind of looked into this because I was trying to figure out how to use the mace.
Yeah.
But they actually have a whole routine.
Yeah,
in Iran,
exactly, yeah.
Like how they train, the music.
yeah. There's like the drummer, and
Yeah.
like you like do all the moves, and like it's like the guy doing the drums dictates
It's like setting the pace.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
So it's a whole art behind it.
Yeah. So it is pretty fascinating. It'd be cool to go train in one of those things. I think,
So this was the training for what they call the palvans, who were
Yeah,
like
exactly,
the
yeah.
wrestlers or the
Yeah,
big guys
yeah.
who would train with these things.
Yeah,
Eventually,
yeah.
they started just using clubs that were really big.
Yep.
But the whole thought behind it was to use it.
the
yeah.
movements are like the sword
moves,
movements,
right?
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
and I would imagine like that little tambourine thing would be for like the shield and like just
and the bow, it was to more for like a bow.
That's
you know,
nice.
like that. It like represents a bow
Yeah,
in
like
like training. You know.
Yo,
Oh,
this
wow.
is cool. Cool.
Have you purchased any archery related equipment?
I
like-
did. I was going to bring it, but I was like already traveling with so much
Oh,
stuff. Yeah.
No, so, but you do have like, do you have like the English longbow or anything?
No, I got it's like either a Mongol or a Persian bow.
Yeah.
So those are
Yeah.
shorter than the English bow, the long
Yeah,
bows,
yeah.
right?
I got two, a 30-pound and a 50-pound, and I have handmade arrows and a
wow.
handmade quiver, like a leather quiver that's handmade.
Nice.
Nice.
But I'm kind of so with this. There's levels, so I'm at level 3, and to finish it, I have to do archery. So I had to learn the first thing I had to learn was sword, and that's then sapar, Shemshir sapar, and then I did that, and then I moved up to level 2, which incorporated like dagger and some other weapons, and then level 3 incorporates like spear, mace, axe.
That's really
You
cool.
know, all these other weapons, but also archery. And for me, I never shot with a thumb ring, so they use thumb rings to shoot.
Oh, I
so
got
for
thumb ring
me,
on.
yeah.
I'm ready.
So for me, it's
Put me in, coach.
taken.
I got my thumb
it's
ring.
weird. You know, I'm not used to that, so I'm
So
still.
what does the thumb ring have to do with, if you can explain? I know absolutely nothing about this.
So the arrow, or not the arrow, the string goes in your thumb like
It
this.
hooks it, right?
Yeah. So
is that why
it
you have a
doesn't
hook on your
yeah,
ring?
He has a thumb ring on. Yeah.
Okay.
So
let me
when
show
you
you.
release it, it's like a smooth release over your thumb. That's kind of what it does.
That's what it looks like, folks.
So it's
I
kind of
always
like a
wondered why
guide.
you have
So
why you have that curve on
You
there.
have it flipped over like this, right? And then you grab the.
No, flip it the other
Other
way.
way.
The other way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that part goes over your thumb.
So
yeah.
it would slide over the top,
Yeah.
Yeah, like
and
that.
rather than bruising or pulling
Yeah.
skin off your top.
The way it
Exactly.
But sometimes they would pull back for a while and hold in the tension,
Yeah.
and it slides
See if I
over,
can
and then it would
follow.
affect the shot too, right? Because it
Yeah.
wouldn't
So
be
there's
smooth.
different, and it's mentioned in this
Go like
book.
this,
There's
and then
like
let go.
different types of draws, like where you put the arrow, like the mustache draw, like you're holding it like where your mustache is,
okay.
like the beard. You know what I mean? So there's like
And then there are
different.
different types of or how far you want to shoot,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
kind of shot you want to place on
Correct,
somebody.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
So it's very technical.
If
in
you ever
that
swing
manner.
through here, sometime we have an archery range on my property.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh,
got a pretty
I would have
nice
brought the bow then.
Like he's got a
yeah.
bow too. He's got
Yeah.
a bow
I had no
target.
idea that.
Yeah.
I mean, I should have put 2 and 2 together that you're a weapons
Yeah.
collector. That,
yeah,
And I
guess-
was gonna bring it, but I wasn't. So, for those who don't know, we did an event in Philadelphia called the Lion's Den, and it was it was me and another guy from that does Razmafzar, and then it was these guys that do African fighting as well.
Oh,
and
wow.
we put this like little event together. It was on the weekend.
Is that the same kind that Aisha Radiallahu would watch with the Prophet?
Well, no,
The Habashi, the Ethiopian.
Habashi? Ethiopian?
Sometimes it's the group is called HAMA, Historical African Martial Arts Association.
Okay, so these are like the long spears.
They they do all the weapons of
Oh,
Africa in like
okay.
in different regions, you know.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool, but because we weren't doing any archery there, I didn't bring my bow, you know, and
No,
I
that's
brought all
cool,
the
man.
armor because I was like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But the part that intrigued me most about you coming here is you mentioned sparring and you talked about tournaments, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So how does that work? Like somebody who is completely uninitiated to this industry and this sport,
Yeah.
help us make sense of how today there's tournaments with people with armor and swords, and how does that work? Who wins?
Yeah.
What's the bracket system like?
Let's say Sheikh Amr brings a sword and I bring a bow and arrow, and he's already brought a knife to a gunfight. Isn't that true? Like he's
Yeah,
dead.
so they wouldn't be a bow in the
Just
tournament.
hand-to-hand
So,
combat
it's all-
stuff, yeah.
Darn
So
it.
there's multiple like I guess like types of armored combat.
Mhm.
There's a big one which has this big event called Battle of the Nations.
Cool. That already sounds awesome.
Yeah, so for that, so you see those swords are light, but hold on a second. The
Hey, while you're picking that up, did the Ottomans ever use a crossbow?
I think they did, yeah. So this sword I had custom made for that style of fighting.
Okay.
So see, I put like a super steep curve on it.
Yeah.
And if you feel it, it's 1,400 grams.
I was gonna
so it's
ask you
heavy.
about that
It's
style.
heavy. Yeah.
So-
No, it's because their rules are that they want to have some sort of
So it's bottom heavy.
yeah. That's the balance on a sword like this should be close to your fist.
So you can have the grip and
Exactly,
it doesn't
and
fall.
manipulate it like so much
When you're
better.
stringing it, you don't want to shift over.
Yeah.
Okay.
The top
break
heavy
your wrist,
sword is bad.
So I can totally see with this now why they do that mace training,
Yeah.
because you'd have to have strong wrists to like kind of wield it.
Yeah, and that's like the heaviest, basically like the heaviest sword that you would encounter.
How long is this? How heavy is it?
1.4 kilograms, so 1,400 grams.
Okay.
And the other ones are probably
So it's
like,
about 3 pounds, almost 3.5 pounds.
yeah, I'm not a good
can't
converter. Yeah,
But I'm just imagining, like, I got this thing on, and this is probably maybe a pound or something.
Yeah.
And then this like 4 pounds.
Yeah, what if you had those on? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we
And
should
then
show
that-
him my samurai sword.
I was actually gonna bring that up. But
Dude, my samurai
look how
sword.
excited he is. Look how serious he got now.
Let's show it to him.
Yeah, we'll go check it
Let's
out.
put
Then,
It's
it
not a
up
real
against the
katana.
test. It's a real katana. I spent a lot of money on it, Mort. You're such an evil son of a...
I'm just
Whoa,
kidding.
whoa,
I don't like you anymore.
It's real. It's
know.
real. It's real. It's real. I'm just kidding.
So going back to the types of fighting.
Yes.
So this type of fighting is called the league is HMB, historical medieval battles, and then there's another one, IMCF. But when you're in fighting in those battles, in the melee battles, which is like the big team battles, which are generally like 5-man teams up to like a 20-man team. So Battle of the Nations is their biggest event, and it's over in Europe, and every country,
Has their own battalion.
yeah, so
so
there's tournaments to get into the USA team.
So let me ask you this. So how do you know, like, okay, in paintball, you're out when you get shot, right?
Yeah.
You're done, right? So
Yeah.
how do you know, like,
So
in this
the point for that, so if you're in the battle, the point is you have to get the person to get down onto the ground, have 3 points of contact on the ground. So you just
you can kick them down too?
kick, punch, brawl them down. They got big axes. Generally in that, swords aren't used because a sword, you can't, in the one main rule in that type of fighting is that you can't stab or thrust.
Oh, that's
So
the
it's-
best part.
Yeah, so it's like blunt bashing weapons. So a lot of people use axes.
You can use a
and-
mace and just swing it around.
Yeah.
A club and like.
Yeah, so those weapons
That
are
still
more
can
used.
cause injury, though. Even
Yeah, you can get injured, but you got armor on.
Do you wear mouth guard too?
I don't, but
I mean,
some people
with that
do.
helmet, you need a mouth guard?
No, you can. You can. Yeah.
Oh, really?
If your helmet isn't padded or
then
strapped correctly,
it'll hit
it'll
you in the
shift
face,
and
right.
hit you in the
I
face.
got
get a
it.
concussion
So
from
let me
that.
ask you this though. So the mace, how heavy would like the ball of the mace be? Like
There's one. If you want to look, it's probably the bottom.
Actually, I'll grab it.
Yeah, just look around. It's like a little Turkish mace. It looks like a.
All right. Yeah, we'll look at the. Yeah, but
So the main. So yeah. So there's that. But then there's the dueling also of the league, and for that I use. So I went to nationals to fight to try to get onto the USA team. And in dueling, it's like a point fight then because it's 1-on-1. So it's like whoever gets to like 5 points first or
so
whatever.
are certain strikes worth more points? For example, like this, like in the
In
wound
some
side,
tournaments, yeah,
through the armor.
it ultimately depends on the tournament and the tournament organizer. Some
I
are
would
like
just,
that.
I would just tap somebody's shoe all the time. I'd be like,
Yeah, and some people do that kind of stuff too, and it's really
like,
like
here you go.
they
ding.
kind of adjust the rules once like they see people doing that.
Yeah.
And but there's
There
also
it
like
is. That's it there.
Oh, this is dope, dude.
That's
Oh,
it.
let me see that.
like this.
Oh, so this is kind of like a police officer's little baton thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
wait.
yeah.
dude, this is in
Dude,
some
can you put the
people's.
arm on? Can I hit your head with this?
Nah, bro. That ain't happening.
I don't know about this, man. This is belongs in the bedroom, you know.
Oh, that's freaking amazing. No, it's a little too heavy for the bedroom. So hold on.
Well, why are
my
you holding
God.
it there, bro?
No, you want to hold armor then?
Morty,
Yeah,
go
why
ahead.
Yeah, hold it. You can swing full
yeah.
force and
on.
block it.
Don't
Yeah.
go full force. Wait,
Yeah.
hold up, bro. Let me get the feel of it, homie.
It's just a thing. It's so.
Oh, look. What if these slides off and go? Bro, you can wrong people weapons, dog.
This is so interesting.
So it is massive chaos in the if you're in a team thing, it is.
So
really
I am
chaos.
destructive by nature. Like I
You
enjoy
know.
violence. So
Yeah.
this is like perfect.
Well,
How
there's
can
a
you do this?
massive Chicago group, I believe, that does it. So
Dude, if I had that thing, I'd be poking people with that thing on the head.
right here.
I'd be
Do you guys, like,
headbutting
get hit
people.
like this,
so I tend to not get hit there a lot because
Your
my
shield?
shield work. Yeah.
Right,
Good.
But mainly like what you're ultimately striking for. So this is armored combat, and the problem with when we fight simulating like this, what I'm explaining, is that you're just hitting each other.
Yeah.
But really in real life, you wouldn't. I'm not going to hit you on the helmet because it's not
a
going to do
weighted
anything.
strike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're targeting like weak points in armor, like the neck, under the armpit, like behind the knee, the elbow, like these spots that you have to move. So the armor has to be able to move. So normally that's either like mail there or
At the
this
limb
type of
joint,
thing.
where
Exactly.
they bend. But let me ask you this though. But I mean, like for example, I got this mace in my hand, right? If you
Yeah.
throw the helmet, I would cause a
Yeah, you're going to knock them out. Or...
No, I mean, like, I would cause a massive ding in his thing,
yeah.
and he'd be like, oh, I mean,
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah.
like,
And that
you
was
know
the
what I mean?
point
Like,
of the mace. Or like, man, they had hammers,
yeah.
and
I
that
can
was
imagine you shattering somebody's bone if you hit the finger or something like that right on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Shatter
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Did you ever get any injuries in this?
So in this current thing, I haven't gotten injuries, but when I first started, this scar I have here
Wanna try to hit it?
is from it, and I got my front tooth is half of it's fake but this was because the padding in my helmet shifted and it hit me like
So your own helmet did the damage.
Yeah, like the guy had like a spear and thrusted it, and it pushed my helmet, and then the metal part, like cut me here, and the face part hit my tooth and it chipped it. But that's the only injury.
So this metal mesh here protected your face from the
This I had a
thrust.
different helmet at the time. This was like 20
Okay,
years ago
okay,
or
okay,
something.
okay.
Isa,
Yeah.
have you taken any martial arts, regular like jiu-jitsu
Yeah, so
or anything?
also I take karate, yeah.
Oh,
So
karate.
I take karate with my kid.
And is that
as
good
well.
for like your stance and like?
Yeah,
core?
it made everything a million times better.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have some
coordination,
fundamental, essentially. Some,
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead, try to hit it harder.
No, I don't want to.
Come on.
No, it's okay.
Don't be a pansy. Just hit it. Get some aggression out.
So there's also like
Oh,
some other kind of tournaments too, like the
I don't want to hurt you.
there's like a tournament like with those swords that you have that are light. In those types of tournaments you can thrust, and I like those the best because that's the most historical accurate type of tournament. Unfortunately, many of the tournaments that are out there that allow you to thrust with a weapon and stuff, they don't allow you to grapple or wrestle and this type of thing. So with Razmafzar, that's a huge thing, like kicking and stuff. Like we want to make it. That's how
As
they
real
fought. That's
as
how they
possible.
fought. Yeah, we want it to be like a legit martial art type of thing. So when you're fighting in armor, you're not just sword fighting. You're actually
Combat fighting.
yeah. So you're
It's basically MMA with armor and
Exactly,
weapons.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So real quick, just come back just real quickly. Would a typical like knight or soldier have it like hanging off of them, or was this specifically for certain types of people that were like just
no.
causing chaos?
So normally, you would have. So if you had a horse, right?
Yeah.
So you would have to put it into perspective, your sword is your sidearm. So that would be really the last weapon that you would draw.
This
Like
would
if
be on
you-
your saddle.
Yeah, or your like your pistol. Like nowadays, your pistol is your sidearm, but you would have
So the
like
bow
a
would be
gun.
the major thing that you would use.
or a lance.
A lance,
You'd start with a
okay.
spear or something.
What's a lance? Sorry.
a spear.
A spear.
Like a long
spear,
spear using a horse.
Yeah. And you would also have a mace or a saddle axe. It's like a tabar. It's called a saddle axe. So when you're on the horse swinging that, you're bashing their
With the
head.
momentum,
Yeah,
it's
the
just-
horse. Yeah.
And you can actually, even with the armor on, you still cause
Yeah, you'll
a shell
kill
shock
someone.
because
Yeah,
that momentum.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
got you.
You know.
So you kind of use. So the idea was to use brute force in the beginning to chop through.
Yeah,
And if
and
you
then-
got dismounted.
Yeah, then
you're-
you draw your sword because
I
now you're
see.
on the ground. You know
But
what I
then,
mean?
so will they also carry a shield mounted on the horse too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the benefit of these shields is that you can use your bow with them. So you can hold the bow and hold that shield at the same time.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
You know what
because
I
you
mean?
have two handles, so you have
Yeah,
open
that's real.
hands.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. So you can hold the bow and the shield would be like around
Oh,
here.
that's really
And you
cool.
can shoot while holding the shield.
Because I'm sure they probably want to attack your hands while you're trying to draw a bow, so it also adds additional
yeah,
protection.
yeah. I
Wow.
mean, maybe, but you're on a horse, so targeting hands. I mean, people do that, but I think that is like a super
Cheap.
not cheap. if we're talking like about on the battlefield, that's like hero level battle.
because
You know what I mean?
generally
You're
tar-
like targeting such a small thing that's moving fast. Generally,
You want center mass.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
okay,
Yeah, you're going for the neck, like something to kill
If I was in
someone
the
away.
fight, I'd be like, hey, you can't touch my finger. It's a cheap move. Time out.
It is kind of like a cheap move too. I think it's a cheap move.
Time
but,
out. Like,
but,
How long
you
do
know.
these matches last? When you're in these sparring matches in these tournaments, how long do these matches last?
Generally there's it depends like what tournament you're in. So the HMB type of tournament, if it's a duel, if it's the big melee, it's until there's the whole other team is down on the ground.
wait, what does
you know?
HMB stand for?
Historical
Okay.
medieval battles. Like they do like these big massive battles.
As it would have been.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but it's not. It's sport fighting. It's not historically accurate fighting.
Yeah, but
In the historically accurate fighting, which isn't as popular, but it's way cooler because you're like thrusting and you're like showing like skill with swords and this type of thing. Not that the battles don't require skills, but their skills are more like plays. Like, you know, you have a team, you got to
like a
have
ballet.
a play.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, we're going to have like two guys flank them and you guys go this way. But the point is to get the team down. You know?
So I get it. So that's more like the WWE. So it's still violent, but it's all scripted in some way.
No, there's no
Oh,
script.
okay.
It's not scripted at all.
Okay.
But you would have like a little playbook still, like, okay, my team has like 10 guys on, you know, like tactics. You'd have battlefield tactics.
Is
yeah.
there like an objective, like getting the flag or something, or
Generally it's normally the objective is to get the
Submit
whole-
everybody?
Yeah, everybody else on the team down. And once it gets to like if it gets to like 3-on-1, they'll stop because of safety or something, you know.
you said when the whole team is down. So like, what goes into that? Does that mean that they're actually like in so much pain they can't get up, or what
Well,
does that mean?
if
Like a
that's how
knockout?
you get them down,
no 3 limbs down?
yeah,
right?
the point is like 3 points of contact have to touch the ground.
That's right. Oh, so you can technically trip somebody if
Yeah,
you're really
and
good
that's
at it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's
you can
cool.
just like do like a judo takedown. A lot of people take judo and other things to like be able to like throw people, you know.
It's so
Nice.
insane. I had no idea this existed.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So
How did you even know this existed? Did you?
well, like I said, I had been be interested in it my whole life, so it kind of evolved as I, you know, like
How many
during my
people-
lifetime.
How many
so.
people do you think around the country are participating in such activities?
Around the country,
It just seems
Not a
like,
lot, not
it
a
just
lot.
seems like it's such a niche.
it is.
and
very
like
neat.
the. I mean, I
You
would
have to
love
be a
to.
super enthusiast for this.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't mind like participating in something that's scripted. You know, where okay, I'm not gonna get hurt, but this is like real. I mean,
It's a different lifestyle. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think I would do it though. I think
But
it's
you
so
can
cool.
do it like I was saying, how I started to do it was without armor, you know, and you can start to learn how to train, how to do it with just, they make like $40 polypropylene swords, and you can get like
Oh, I got one of those. Yeah.
you know, like you can get like a little shield, like this company called Cold Steel makes these like rubber ones for like $60.
Yeah.
So really that's all you need to start learning and training how to use
Yeah.
a sword and shield and a weapon. And ultimately this is like the ultimate in it is like having all this armor, but
So if
the
you-
reality is a lot of people aren't going to do that.
If you-
because of
let's just
the
say you wanna do
cost
the-
investment,
Let's say you want to just get into it. You don't necessarily want to get involved in all the battles, but maybe let's just say you want to train your kids to do archery and sword fighting. What's the best way to get involved in sword fighting? Because I don't know of any sensei you can go and learn
No,
this
so
stuff from.
that's kind of what like the Dr. Khorsani did. He is the niche sensei of this, you know what I mean? So ultimately, if you wanted to do this, I mean, you can contact me, and I
Yeah, you
need-
do instructions.
I do. Yeah, I teach
You're a
seminars
trainer.
and everything. So
So this is
Yeah.
really interesting because there's a brother I know, Abdullah. He's in the UK,
Yeah.
and they're originally like Spanish origin, like
Yeah.
from Spain.
Yeah.
So the Spanish actually have a parade every year or an event every year where they reenact like the Reconquista and the
Yeah.
Moriscos. So he actually puts on armor and goes out and like it happens in Spain.
Yeah.
So they kind of recreate like this. What they call Muslimic Spain, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's really they've been doing that for years. Like I remember hearing the
Nice,
two
yeah.
Spanish.
I think I did see something about that too.
Yeah.
So, quick question: you said that you used to sell your art. It's like, where do you end up selling your armor? Are there forums? There's Craigslist.
Yeah, that type of thing. Like part of the. I mean, once you kind of get into it, there's like a bunch of Facebook groups and stuff like
I've
that.
seen stuff on
yeah.
Etsy and eBay too.
Yeah, you can. You just got to watch
Those are
this.
more
Like,
show, right? Like
yeah,
they're
and
not-
it's like India makes it, so it's kind of like sketchy.
But wait, I heard though, like Indian
Indians
steel
always mess up
though.
stuff,
But I heard Indian steel is supposed to be good quality for the swords, right? I mean, traditionally, historically
Oh, okay.
speaking.
So if we're talking, so this would be like the Persian. Woots is that type of steel. So if in that book there, if you look at the paintings, the swords are black, and that represents this type of steel that was called woots, and it was made like from like a formula that we don't really know how it was made
Get
now.
out.
You know,
This is so
But,
interesting because
they're trying to like reconstruct it. And
this is really interesting because like they're kind of still had like a black tint to it.
Yeah.
And some of their older temples out in like South India, they have like this ornaments that are there that you use this type of steel.
Yeah, you can
And-
see it. Like there's color photos of swords in this book where you can they're
wow.
made from that.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because even the Arabs had that too. Like there's
Yeah.
the Prophet had a sword called Muhannad, which meant it was from Hind. Like I mean,
Yeah.
it was one of those swords that he would use.
Yeah.
And it was like before Damascus steel. This
Yeah.
was what was like the cream of the crop.
Yeah, and so Damascus steel is technically like the wrong term. Not to just become real nerdy.
Yeah,
but,
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Be nerdy. Be nerdy.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's Woots. Woots steel is the correct term. Damascus steel is like pattern welded steel, so it's not the same thing. Woots will give you a pattern on it, and the way the formula has different patterns. Like there's like a ladder pattern, a teardrop pattern, and that is like in the mastery of making the ingot, when they like forge down the ingot, they like build this big oven thing and they put all the ingredients in the top and it's like heating, you know what I mean? And like it's all natural. I don't know the list of ingredients, but maybe like salt and like an egg.
And even when to put it.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean? So
Yeah.
it was
And
like
at what process of cooling
Correct,
and
yeah.
forging that you put it in.
so they made, it creates these patterns on the blades. And also there's rumor, like, so the Vikings traded with them, and so the what's it called? The Ulf something like this.
Yeah, the
Vikings-
sword.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is said to be from one of those ingots.
Yeah,
from
I read
Woots,
about
and
that
that's
too.
why it was able to break the English swords, because English swords weren't that high quality of steel yet.
So they actually took that and found out how to make it from that ingot,
Yeah.
and then so they were able to reproduce this by forging it and hammering it keep doing
Yeah.
it, and then they made it stronger than the frankincense, and they kind of just ended up beating them.
Yeah, and you would imagine, like, back then, if you had a sword like that,
Take a tank.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like a holy relic, because it's like just smashing,
Breaking everybody,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like superior to every other steel that's out there.
Some of them even said that because you mentioned interaction, that they have some like armor from the Vikings they claim, or even like inside armor, like the cloth,
Yeah.
that have some like Arabic
Yeah, I saw that.
representation.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. Yeah, you can tell because they traded with them.
Yeah.
That was like the big thing.
So what? I have two questions.
Yeah.
What are these ridges? I was just noticing. What are these there for?
Yeah, I'm not. I think that's just
Design.
designed. Yeah, that's just so
Okay.
it wasn't like a straight bar, I guess. Looking.
Got it.
Or maybe you
Both
could,
of you
like,
guys love that shape in the that weapon in general.
Well, I like the thing. I
It's so simple, that's
I
why.
actually want a bigger ball. Like I just want to smash.
But it's
somebody
for your
with this.
wrist, though. You can possibly hurt
Yeah.
your wrist. That's why.
But if you trained with like the clubs,
like,
you can get a
So
heavier
this is what it
mace.
reminds me
Yeah,
of, like
yeah.
the club, because the
Yeah.
club I have is like a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And it's like a 10-pound ball here.
Yeah.
So I just be like moving it around
club
like
belt,
this,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then you just go around and then
Yep.
come around like this and let it drop.
What about the thing with the chain? The chain with the ball and spikes.
The
What's that
different
called?
type of mess.
Oh, like a flail.
Is that more
Yeah,
English?
yeah,
or
that is.
Ang-
Are you guys allowed to use that
Saxon?
in your fighting?
No, you can't use those.
I think
no, that's like
too
very
projectile.
dangerous.
that is destructive.
Yeah,
though.
that would like totally.
They also
like,
refer to
break
that as a
limbs.
maze too, though, right?
I guess it could be called a mace, but
metal
I think
ball
they're
with the
called
spikes?
yeah, but with a chain, it's like a flail.
Yeah.
I
because
think,
the
yeah.
momentum.
Yeah, it'll wrap around you. Like it's too dangerous to use in a
Wow.
or
Yeah.
in a
Like-
simulated combat.
It's
type
meant to
thing.
cause damage.
Yeah.
And a lot of them had spikes on
Yeah,
them too.
yeah,
metal
so it was
spikes.
meant
Yeah.
to pierce armor and like a lot of different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to get started, they have to look myself. Somebody's completely uninitiated to these type of sport. Mort's trying to hit me with his mace.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing they should do? Let's say they haven't done anything with
Yeah.
any type of weaponry. Where should they begin?
Well, if you wanted to do this Persian, and just to like bring, since I mean we're all Muslim in here, but I don't know how the audience, if everyone,
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
assuming, yeah,
Yeah, they're just dimmy, so we don't mind.
But you have to remember that Persia was the empire forever there.
Yeah.
You know, and you have a lot of nationalism with like Turks now, like
Yeah.
Ottomans. So they're trying to like do like Turkish, this type of thing, but from Turkish manuals, which is cool and stuff. But ultimately, like all that formed from the Persian sources, you know, and as it grew out and mixed with all these people. So all the style is pretty much similar.
And it makes sense, right?
You know,
because
yeah.
we know the Turkics were Persianized when they came in,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
Sultan of Rum and you know those whole empire
Yeah.
was all influenced by the Turks, and then I mean by the Persians, and that makes sense because even I mean they were an advanced civilization.
Yeah.
They had I mean. It was a miracle that we beat them in war. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Allah's decree, but they were supposed to be. I mean, keep in mind, these guys were pushing back the Byzantine Empire,
Yeah,
right? And
exactly,
so
yeah.
they had. I mean, it actually even. You know how our defeat of them was like miraculous? Like their defeat of the Byzantine Empire was miraculous at that time. They're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, they decimated like tens of thousands in one day.
Yeah.
Like they were actually, I mean, we tend to downplay how strong of fighters they were and how advanced they were, but
Yeah.
they actually were, I mean, that were the big dogs at the time.
Yeah, yeah. And even still, like when he goes back to wrestling and stuff, like Habib, you know, he's from that area, you know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
he's
of
from,
course.
you know, so
Kushti.
yeah.
That's what they refer
And
to
you
it.
see, like back in the day, like when Alexander the Great and stuff, once he got to Persia, he was like,
Amazed.
I'm here.
Yeah.
We're not going back. You know what I mean? And same with Genghis Khan and everyone, you know. So once they hit Persia, you know, historically, that was like the civilization, you know.
And you know
so-
what's interesting too? I mean, just a side note, but even that's how we even develop like this deep concept of the Arabic grammar, like categorizing
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Persians that actually were able
Yeah.
to say, hey, because they had this tradition, so they could kind of look at a bird's eye view and say,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to label it this, we're going to call it this. The Arabics knew that they by themselves they knew how to speak, they were experts in
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but actually being able to teach it and say this is
Yeah.
a format like the Persians. I mean, Sibawayh,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it was one of
And also, like, all, like, the sciences were written in Persian. The religion is written in Arabic. You know what I mean? But back in the medieval times, everyone, and it kind of is annoying that there was, like, this, at least, I don't know how controversial we want to get, but at least from my perspective, there was, like, this push, maybe, like, in the 90s and 2000s to, like, Arabize everything. You know what I mean? So it kind of, like... You're saying people had Arab names, but really a crap ton of the scientists were Persian, you know, back then. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was written in Persian, you know, but like Arabic became the language of
Lingua
the religion.
franca.
You
Right,
know what I
yeah.
mean? And you know that's how it was. So I guess what we were getting
Training-wise,
the
training.
training wise, the easiest thing if you wanted to do this, I mean, the easiest thing would be to send me an email or somehow contact me.
Yes.
But you wouldn't really need much of anything. Like I said, you probably would need like a $40 investment to get a plastic sword and maybe like a $60 investment to get a little, you know,
So for
rubber
$100
shield.
you can get started.
Yeah, you can get started. And
now you got-
I teach, you know, I mean, I how since my instructor lives in Frankfurt, Germany, we do online. You know what I mean?
Do you ever fly out there?
I haven't. He's flown here.
Oh wow!
But I have.
So he's really dedicated to
Yeah.
preserving this, whatever.
like he's wrote like 7 books, I think, like thicker than he's won awards for.
So is he like
books and
the
everything.
authoritarian
Yeah,
in this?
like exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
like
okay.
he's like.
So if you want to know about this, you'd have to go through him.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
That's pretty
So
cool.
my certificates are from him, like directly. You know, so when I passed all the levels, he was like, okay.
So you have like the
here-
ijaza from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, mashallah, man, that's
You know.
awesome.
Now let's
No, because you guys don't understand the end of the world is coming. I don't know if you if you notice with the stock market crashing and
You mean the
stuff.
malhama?
Bro, we're gonna be going back to fighting with sticks and
Well,
stones.
but to be honest though, that's really how I think too. You know what I mean? And I
all it
think
takes is one solar flare, bro.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think, you know, in the hadith, you know, that's what it says. And I have this thing that why are, as Muslims, why don't we know how to do this?
Yeah.
You know,
I
really,
agree.
let's like think about it. Like, why do we not know how to fight? Why, you know, and when you bring it up, it gets like people get weird about it. Like,
You're a jihadi.
yeah, exactly. You can't teach that at the
It's not only that,
masjid,
they just
you know?
think of it as unacademic,
Yeah.
buffoon, mindless person.
But if you look at the back in the day, like this was part of our
life, yeah,
If you
and-
didn't know how to do it, you weren't completed. You weren't you didn't
Exactly.
pass.
And when I accepted Islam, all this came into play. Like I was like thinking like a Jedi. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I was thinking. Like, okay, this is
That's actually
what
really
I got to
interesting.
do. You
It's
know
a
what
good
I mean?
example, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great example.
And, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I go to the range, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because that's a modern form of a bow. But
Yeah,
you
exactly.
gotta have
Yeah.
some
Same here, yeah,
some
yeah.
training,
Yep,
right? Like
yep.
you have to know, because I mean, there comes a time in your life where you may be called to do something,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
I mean, in defense of your family or your people, whatever it
Yeah.
may be. But to be a sitting duck is never a benefit to anybody.
No.
In defense of the Holy Lands.
And also
my
too, like
God.
really, like if we want to be like, if we want to be like real, like Muslim men, really like, how manly are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you can't really, you
Yeah,
don't
true.
know your own personal limit in
Yeah.
in fighting
Great
of
point.
some sort of
That's a
thing.
great point,
and as
brother.
Muslims, bro, like you said, if they were like, yo, jihad,
Yeah.
it's
Time to go.
time to go.
Right, yeah.
You're able-bodied dude.
Yeah.
You know,
Pick it up.
how are we
Yeah.
gonna represent? You know,
Yeah.
it's
No, you're
I know a
right.
lot of them
know.
will be handling the big shield.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's a good one. I like that.
you know,
yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it's true though. I mean, because like, and I feel like also, to be honest, like this is really unique to me because you know, as traditionally the general opinion is as Muslims you don't hit in the face, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But with the armor, you're kind of you're protecting yourself.
Yeah.
But you still get a feel of the ding dong, like in the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're still
yeah.
getting you're shell rocked, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been in a lot of fights, so if you haven't been hitting the dome, you don't know what it's like to be hitting
Exactly,
the
yeah,
dome.
yeah.
Like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan to get punched in the
Yeah,
face,
that's
right?
right. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
I remember being young. I'm gonna hit this guy. I'm gonna go after school
Yeah.
and punch
Pop,
him.
yeah.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah.
Like, you see stars, literally stars. Like,
Yeah.
I saw stars. Like,
And then on
yeah.
top of that, once that happens to you, it kind of humbles you a little bit.
Of course
it does.
And then you're like, okay, you know
This
what?
is what it's like.
Yeah, this
you
is
recognize
real.
the potential of other people to cause harm, and you
Exactly.
say so. You then become more responsible when you inflict harm,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, make
So
it right
all
there.
that just kind of comes into play as the character building, right? Like,
Exactly. That's
yeah,
exactly.
I agree, 100%.
And when even more so, like, so these are blunt weapons, you know.
Yeah.
And we're fighting, but if that was a sharp sword, that would be your mindset would even be more different because now it's like
Death.
that exactly
Like extra
And now-
careful, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
this type of fighting, I mean, in modern day fighting, we shoot people, and you're like kind of separated from death. You know, you can like we drone strike people and everything
Yeah.
and whatever, but for you to physically
See someone.
and stick
Yeah.
a piece of metal through them, that's like that's a different
watch 'em
thing.
die?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a different thing altogether. You know what I
Like, can you
mean?
imagine just jabbing someone and
Yeah,
he's like gurgling
and
on
then
you?
and them swords are it's gonna cut through like butter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like once it gets past the armor,
But that's another
it's
thing.
going, you know.
That's another thing too. Like I could imagine like how many like just thinking about that. I was thinking about that while we were talking about swords. That I bet you there's countless times where these mujahideen would take off their armor, they didn't realize they had gotten sliced in. Because it just literally just if you ever cut meat like sliced up meat like a whole. I've done like a whole like maybe like lamb. And stuff. It's a stroke, bro. Like one stroke and like the thing is splitting open, right? I mean like, but you could cut through skin or fat and you won't even know. Because if you get the right angle, it's a perfect cut. It's not gonna bleed out, but it'll just be an open wound if you get So I can imagine like how many times they had scars or just from that.
And also like I mean the armor's protective a lot. So the first layer would be like the gambazon over here, you know.
Oh yeah, that's the cloth one, right?
Yeah.
Right. So would that be made out of like cotton or leather? Like what would that traditionally be made out of?
I don't know where the camera is.
Oh, it's right in front of you.
You want to hold it? Okay. I'm gonna spill my drink.
Okay, yeah.
Good, bro. Jeez.
So this is okay.
Wow.
So I made that.
Feels.
So that's made of the outer part is linen, and then there's like 2 layers of cotton batting in it.
This kind of feels like one of those fire outfits.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That feels really cool. Like,
so you can.
That actually looks really cool too.
So I made that. I block printed the armor on. So so now you can see how the armor ties on. It's dirty there because from the armor rubbing, like that's where the armor rubs.
So this thing would all these little strings. It's not decorative. It's actually for the armor.
Yeah, that's the tie points of the armor. Like the shoulders tie on to those top parts.
What we talked about earlier. Plates that add extra armor. Okay.
Now in the beginning, this looks tedious. To put the armor on, but how long are you able to put that on and put all your armor on and be good to go?
I mean, generally you would have fast. I can put my armor on. You can just leave it over there for now. I can put my armor on in like a half hour, and I just need someone to like buckle the strap like of that piece of armor there. But everything else I can put on myself. So you need a sire.
So Sim can be your sire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or page, a squire. You mean squire?
Squire,
sire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot
that. Head,
what do they call squire? That's
squire.
What it is.
Yeah.
Too late, Mort. I'm a sire now. No takebacks.
But yeah, so that's how. So you would have that on, and then you'd have the mail, which is in that bag there. We didn't really show. If you want to run around, you can grab the chainmail from that bag and hold it up from your end.
Yeah.
So it's in this black bag here.
This is so cool, bro.
You're gonna dig this.
Allahu Akbar.
So this is all handmade as well, and it's all riveted.
That thing's heavy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it goes on like a jacket.
Oh, this is what you would wear over that.
Over that and under what Sim has on, you would be wearing that.
Oh, okay.
Yo, that's insane.
Man, that should be like a Sherwani.
Dude, you know how heavy it is?
No. Oh my god.
But when you're wearing it, it's not that. It's heavy. It's like 25 pounds, but when you're wearing it, it's distributed over your body.
Don't do that, bro. You might cut yourself. Put this on first.
No, I'm not gonna put it on. Don't see it. Yeah, because it takes forever to get off. Wow, that's interesting. Everyone can see it.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I mean, how did they afford this back then? I mean,
So-
I'm only imagining like a king or someone who's like super high in the military order of hierarchy is wearing this kind of.
Well, that would be wearing everything, but through like in the Crusades and stuff, the main armor was just the mail. That was it. That's like all the Crusaders. They just wore mail. They didn't have like the plates and what you think of as knights now. That happened like in the 1400s and the 1500s, you know, and the Crusades was like in 1000, you know what I mean? And then that time period, everyone wore chainmail, and you would imagine that they got like hundreds of people making it.
Yeah,
you
and
know, it's
spoils of war
yeah,
too.
Yeah, they had like whole armory guilds, you know, where you would go and your day was cutting out little rings for 8 hours.
And they would fit you for, and then you just go, it'd be like a process.
Exactly, like, you know, with like a massive, you know, like if you had like the army, when you think of like the armies back then, there would be like the whole baggage train too, you know, so it's not just like the knights, you would have like the armorers and a whole assortment of people that traveled with the military at the time period.
Yeah.
My little guy's in the chat right now. He's like, can my
dad's
are you going to keep the armor? No, son. I can't keep that armor. The gentleman uses this for professional, professional warfare. This is protecting his life.
Yeah, that is
Daddy
true,
can't keep this armor. Okay?
Yeah. Something else too that I thought it'd be interesting to mention is that if you watch the movies, like remember the movie The Message from back then, when they were at Bedr, they had curved swords, but they didn't. So that
came later on, right?
Yeah. So they all had straight swords back then, and
they weren't very long either, right?
Well, in the one that they attribute to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in top copy, it's like a fairly straight
civilian sword, right?
Yeah,
it's
longer than that one.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a longer sword, and same with like Ali's sword, Dhul Fikr. That most likely was straight, even though like you see these curved ones with the
so
like, hook in it.
they actually talked about this.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually with like curve and 2 blades. All they meant was that both sides had the sharpness.
Oh, okay.
So it was a straight blade with both sides being sharp.
But there is a straight blade that right down the center like this has a slit. So that is like that's dated back to then too.
So maybe that could be it.
Yeah.
So I guess both sides were actually just sharp, but you can move it either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it wasn't that sword that you see now, like the curved sword with like the two like thing. That's not what it would be.
Rough with the imagination.
Yeah.
Is that really what it is?
Yeah, there's no proof of that. They read the hadith that there's a 2-pronged sword or 2 edges. Oh, we could make like a curve here.
Isn't the one that's in Top Cap you have 2?
I think it's straight though. There's a bunch. So I mean, they did artistically remake swords like that.
Yes.
So there is one that is like this shamshir, but there's at the tip there's like 2 blades like put together like this, you know, and it would go like this.
Brother Isa, I think you're
I heard
that microphone cable right there.
You see this is right here? Just push it. No, this one here. Just push it in.
I think it might be mine, no?
Yeah.
No, it's my headphones are staticky.
Yeah,
Mine
no,
too.
it's that thing.
Yeah,
It won't go in anymore.
Okay. Oh, maybe it's me. Oh, thank you.
Real smooth.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, that should be good.
Sultan Slim. Can't even run a show.
Sultan Smooth. Yeah.
But so you know, there's a lot of misinformation that's out there regarding this, but alhamdulillah, it's cool, and it would really be awesome for, you know, Muslims to get into it, because it's kind of like the culture. I mean, even if you're not Muslim, but from the region of the Middle East, it's ultimately part of your culture.
Is this thing also called a shimshir?
Yeah, that's a shemshir.
Shemshir just means sword.
Sword, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like curved sword, at least in the world of swords, right?
Scimitar.
Yeah, which was classified by colonists
Yeah.
of Europe and the light
It's okay.
skin.
Well, we got you here, white supremacy undoer. You're gonna undo the myths and rumors that they spread across the world.
Yeah.
Where's Robert Dufour?
Yeah.
Robert Dufour. So how does someone get in touch with you? You said email. Is there like a website? Is there...
There's YouTube. There's a RazmafzarTV YouTube channel, which you can actually see videos of me doing it.
Nice.
Wait. You got to spell that out for our...
No, we'll put it in the link.
Yeah, we'll put it in the link.
RAZMAFSAR.
Z.
Right? Z.
So it's all
Nice.
Z's, yeah.
We completely butchered
It's 2 words. In Persian, it's 2. Like, Persian is kind of like German, where you just mash words together to make a word. So the 2 words are Razm and Afzar, and it's like the way of the warrior. It's like the
Okay.
way of the
I didn't look at
warrior
Rasm
type of
Asfar.
thing.
Wow.
Like Rasm, right? Rasm Asfar.
Did you ever watch Highlander when you were young? That's
Yeah,
how I got
yeah.
introduced to this
Yeah,
stuff.
kind of me too.
I used to wear like a long A trench coat as
He
well.
had a literally a long leather trench coat.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
quite literally.
you're
It
like,
wasn't leather.
katana
Okay? It was
underneath
like Duncan MacLeod's
yeah.
trench
Yeah.
coat. Okay.
Duncan MacLeod.
You remember
Yeah.
Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod?
There can be
right?
only
Of course,
one.
yeah.
That's
He
the
killed the
exact same.
Kurgan, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went.
Wasn't like there can be only one Highlander. There can be only
No,
one.
they were fighting for the prize. Okay, the prize.
Yeah, but what was that line he
You
would
find
say?
out at the last movie.
Yeah, it was. There only could be one. I
Yeah,
thought,
there could
too.
only be one.
There
Yeah,
could
that was
be
the
only
thing.
one, but
Yeah,
the prize when you're
Yeah, I'm not
the only
talking
one is that you can have a baby at the end.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. You
and
could,
you
Is
had
that
like,
what it is?
Yeah, you
and
can
there
have-
was like the quickening when you got
Yeah,
killed.
you
the
get the
quickening
power of the
happening,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
power up, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying that phrase was like there can only be one.
Yeah.
That was the Highlander one.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, and this is like another thing too, like, so I'm also writing this like little novella type of thing.
Ooh.
And it's based off of what we were talking about earlier, like stuff from Morocco, like those types of stories and stuff. But I'm going to incorporate, like, in the long term, I want it to be a jumping off thing where I can incorporate like fighting
Yeah.
and stuff into it.
That's pretty cool.
But why all the stuff that we're being told is like European based, you know, like the Highlander, like, you know, all these stories and stuff, and even movies, like we know about knights, and from an Islamic point of view, like even our kids are, this is what they know. They don't know like we have 1400 years of heroes, you know what I mean? So like I remember when Kingdom of Heaven came out, I was like, man, this is like,
I just saw that recently.
you know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
director's cut, the theatrical
Yeah.
cut sucked. The director's cut though was
Yeah,
like
I liked
on
it a lot.
point. Yeah. And you know what? If you really watch it, so they say the siege happened on the 27th of Ramadan, right? And the night in the movie, whether this is intentional, but it was Ridley Scott, so I kind of think it was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
There's a shot that night before, the night before the siege, when it goes up to the moon, and it's like the crescent of the 27th. You know, so there's like these cool little things in it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
if you
yeah,
really
yeah,
start to
yeah.
pay attention. You know.
Yeah.
So
I remember the only other thing that we had similar to that was the 13th Warrior.
yeah, that was kind of what got me really into it too.
Oh,
really,
yeah.
yeah, I like
Where he goes
that.
in the
Yeah.
stand and he writes stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Antonio
Larry,
Banderas was in there. Right?
Yeah. That was good too, but you know,
It was not enough.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And it was like he learns their way, not the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they made fun of him for like having a curved sword and he wanted the lighter horse, and you know, that stuff is like it was filled with a lot of like historical
Innuendos, right?
inaccuracies,
Yeah.
but from a movie thing, it was an awesome
great.
movie.
Yeah.
Like when the worm came, you know, it's like the worm and the fire's coming down the valley, and you know, it is cool.
Yeah.
But
All Well, brother Isa, it was great having you on. If there's anything else we could do to support your work, please know that this platform is yours.
yeah.
And again, if you swing by in Chicago next time, bring a bow and arrow, and we'll
Yeah,
do
definitely.
some
We can
archery.
do some like,
Yeah.
archery or
No,
something.
let me know when you
yeah.
have a little melee here going on. I'll just come charge from the side and knock some people
Yeah,
out.
definitely. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And run away.
Yeah.
Surprise! You know, I'll come to do that with my little mace.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, dong people. You know?
Yeah.
Make sure you give me your contact information so I can put it, or whatever you
Yeah,
want.
for sure.
Whichever
Do they have?
preferred.
Is there people in the chat?
Yeah,
There's a few people.
I mean, does anyone got any question or anything they want to say?
I think.
Just probably ask. We'll have time for a couple questions. Anyone have any questions before we wrap this one up? Oh, by the way, Sophia, this is not just costume. This is actual real like things that absorb impact. They have battle wounds on them. Like that helmet has a bunch of dings on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has. So it's actually being used in actual practice and competition.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sim is wearing a 5-pound crown on his head right now.
Yeah.
That
We
looks
talked
really
a little
cool.
bit about the Mongols. They were talking about how they didn't wear much armor, but they wore some silk.
Yeah.
Because they don't want the speed. They want to lose the speed, right?
And also, silk is like the silk gambazon. That's very like even that will stop a sword. You know, just the padding and
Will
silk,
it?
yeah. So I mean, when in theirs in the historical time, it would be like 20 layers of linen. You know, like packed into there. So it's like kind of like Kevlar. You know, like a Kevlar. I made that 2 layers because I made it to wear under the chainmail. But if
So it
you,
feels like moving blankets.
yeah, that's very similar. Yeah,
Yeah.
to that. Yeah,
That's what it feels like.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the Mongols, like, it depends what time period,
but
and
I-
also it depends on what you can afford. You know, like,
Yeah.
generally, if you, the first thing you would probably buy would be a helmet.
Yeah.
you know,
Of course.
you know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and
well,
then,
probably a sword first. Right?
yeah, some sort of weapon, I guess.
Yeah.
But the first piece of armor you would buy would be a
Yeah.
helmet, and then, you know, whatever else.
But I think
you can
what
afford.
made the Mongols so unique was obviously their horseback riding, and they were one of the first to implement the spur, where they could stand up and shoot.
Yeah. So
And
that,
that's what made them really like expert at being able to attack from far.
Yeah.
because they would just fire their certain arrows that when they would make, they would have a long distance on it, but they were able to stand up and shoot them as well too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even there's a technique with the shamshir where to get, if you're on horseback, to get more power, you like stand up and push down on your stirrups, and that gives you like more power. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if
Yeah.
you're standing
More
up and
kinetic
pushing,
energy.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
So
So
we got a
there's a
couple
lot
questions.
of techniques. Yeah.
Was Kingdom of Heaven historically accurate? Heard some Christians saying it's biased against it and demoralized them.
Yeah.
Well, it did do that, and I think it was. I think the armor of it was mixed matched and not historically accurate, but the story in general is what happened.
I mean,
You know,
they got
it was
humiliated.
embellished for
Yeah.
the movie, and the humiliation is true. I mean, Salahuddin did that when, you know, he was friends with the king of Jerusalem, and the whole part with the cup when he was like, that it's all real, that happened.
I love
And
that
that
part.
happened too. We're proud of it.
Yeah. And he said, you know, a king does not kill a king.
Yeah.
You know, and that shows like Salahuddin's honor and how he was, and compared to like that crusader who
Yeah.
was just trying to come in and take the
Yeah.
kingdom.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't imagine seeing a movie with you. You must be like, oh, that's historically inaccurate.
No, I
My
don't,
wife
yeah.
is like that, so
Yeah.
she's into like historical costumes for women
Yeah.
all across every century. She knows exactly what they wore in which period.
Yeah.
So she could like can point out exactly what was wrong in that scene.
Yeah, like
and
the Victorian
who
era
wore the
stuff.
wrong
Yeah.
Yeah.
dress from.
There are
there's
people like that, but when I go to the movie, I suspend my.
Yeah.
I go whatever how they're portraying it. I go with that.
Cool.
You know.
That's good.
Brother Adnan had one last question here.
Wait, before we get there, I think Jay Perez had one before
No,
him.
Adnan had it way before. He had in the beginning of the show.
No, he already. Oh, okay.
Adnan had it way before. Why didn't the Ottomans or any other Muslim empire use full plate armor that was seen in Europe in like the 1500s? Was it the cost of temperature, the cost, or the temperature? Or
Was it
tactics?
because of the temperature or tactics or what?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it was because of tactics, and this is to try to be quick. This is what I was saying. So, like, if the style of fighting was the core came from Persia, but you have to look who the Ottomans were fighting. So there might be Ottoman techniques that are specific because they were fighting Eastern Europe. So Eastern Europe had heavier armor. So maybe they like the difference in technique would be would have been caused by who they had to fight. So like the Safavids were next to the Ottomans, and then like Asia was on the other side. So that was like who they fought. Why? I mean, I think it was just the style of fighting. So if you look on this armor that Sim has on, see in this area here, it's real cut out, like around like his
Breastplate? Armpit area?
armpit.
Oh.
So that is designed so when you're holding the reins, your arms could be forward and not be
Not
impeded
restricted.
by the armor, you know? So you have to take that into account, like the style of fighting.
And
you
how
know,
they
is-
actually utilize it, right?
to use these weapons is much more mobile than a long sword that a knight would use, or like what we would say a knight, you know, a heavily armored European. But there's also like some other reasons why that are speculative, like they were able to produce mass pieces of larger plates of metal easier than they could in the Middle East or whatever. But I think it's more generally due to the fighting style. And this is like horseback, you know, you're starting on a horse here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like horse archery, mobility, that type of tactics, as opposed to like a big tank block type of tactics of heavily armored.
Last question.
Yeah.
Our last question, Jay Perez had, will that armor be any way effective against modern weaponry?
I had thought what size bullet it would stop. So I did think about this a lot. The helmet, I think the helmet would stop a 9mm. So that is the top of the helmet is, I think, 2mm hardened spring steel. That breastplate is probably, I think, 1mm, and I don't think it's hardened steel, which is extremely strong. I mean, it'll probably, if you had all the armor on, you could probably, I mean, easily it'll stop a 22 or something like that.
22 would be easy.
Yeah.
Pellet off of
yeah.
it. Right? Yeah.
And if you had all the armor on, let's face it, if it went down, I would put all the armor on and go up against small arm fire.
But, I mean,
I would feel like I have a chance, especially with the shield. If you had the shield, yes.
So and also it depends on the distance, right?
Exactly.
Like point blank, a 45 is going to do damage.
Yeah,
on that.
a 45 will probably go through the helmet also.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
But up to a 9mm, maybe it'll definitely, maybe it'll get lodged in it or something. I think, but I don't think it'll blow a hole right through it.
Nice.
Cool. Folks, please make sure to click on the old like button. We really need your help in order to push the views and the algorithm in our direction, because we don't get any help from YouTube in the views and all the different kind of promotion. But we're counting on you guys to help us out. And make sure you click on Brother Isa's contact information when you are, or if you are so inclined to learn a little bit more about what's this whole thing called?
Razmafzar.
Razmafzar.
Yes. So
Razmafzar.
yeah, you can find me, like I said, on Facebook. You can find me easily. I don't really use Twitter or anything, or you can just YouTube the YouTube channel.
Nice.
Or contact any of you all, and you know how to contact me or whatever. Yeah,
yes, sir.
Whatever.
All right, folks. That's it for us. We'll see you all next time. Assalamu alaikum.
So like.
I got last time. Look at you.
That actually reminded me of the Mamluks logo picture.
Oh yeah. Right.
You didn't give your speech about the getting like 5